All right, in this recording we're going to clean up a donut that we 3D scanned using an optical scanner. One of the bad things is it did come up with some holes, maybe due to reflection of the glaze or whatnot, and also we have pretty bad texture. So we won't cover the texture yet because we didn't take any great photos of it, but down the road we will learn how to use Spotlight and ZBrush to tackle that. So let's go ahead and import our donut. And the first thing is to clean up all the debris around it. So I'm going to go down to desktop and open up the object. Okay, it shouldn't take that long to import. Hit A. All right. So I had to hit A. So this is where we started in A. You can see it's pretty far away from our origins. And this is typical for scanning or photogrammetry. Our origins is way off. So you may have to go in here and hand nudge it. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of pull it in. It's way out of whack too. It's really large format. So go to front and also kind of pull it up. Going to hit F, and I'm just going to hit Modify, Center Pivot. Go ahead and rotate this up. E, rotate it up again. All right, once I'm happy with that, what I'm going to do is hit Freeze Transformation. You see my axis is way out of whack, so I'm going to go ahead and Modify and Freeze Transformation. So the X and Y and Z are actually heading in the right direction. All right, we've done this before. We did a little bit of cleanup, just baby steps to get started, but now you're actually working on a real object. We did some photogrammetry of the building cleanup, and now we're actually doing it on our own scanned objects. So what you want to do is just go through here and right click and go to face mode and just go through delete. So this is a little bit lighter than our bust that we worked on, the head. So this is not as many polygon count. So what I'm going to do is since we did rotate, I'm just going to go ahead and zap that. All right, you can go in here and start trying to fill holes in Maya. That is fine. I do want to show a couple of techniques on how to do that in ZBrush, but let's go ahead and at least try to cover the bottom here. I think that's a really big hole to cover in ZBrush. So what I'm doing is now going to edge mode and double click it. You should be able to select all of them. I know a couple of people have done this on a couple other tutorials that was able to select them. So you may have to select all of that, the vertices, and then pull them in. A little bit more time involved with that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and extrude edge and then hit R. So basically if I hit W, you can see it extruded the edge. I hit Apple Z and hit R and just squeeze that in. And basically we're just trying to make this watertight so when we bring it to ZBrush it doesn't freak out with all the holes. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and go right click vertex and just pulling that down. Just going to marquee that. We've done this before, so this shouldn't be a big deal. And we're going to merge vertices. So now it's watertight on the bottom. What I would do, you could even do the Boolean thing, and we could crop that and make that even tighter. But I do want to bring this into ZBrush and try to do a Dynamesh and then fill in these holes. This is a lot of holes here, but this is typical cleanup work with 3D models. We do have a pretty big hole here in the center that's supposed to be there, but we do want to kind of close that in even though it's a donut. Let's go ahead and try to clean that one up real quick. So we're going to go to edge and click on the edge of the donut. Alright, so I went all the way around. So I'm going to extrude that, hit R, squeeze that in. Okay, all I'm doing is trying to make it watertight so when we bring it into, the idea is also that we can take this and get this 3D printed today. It's one of my goals. So we go to vertex, and we're going to merge. Now this is totally not what our object looks like. There's really a hole in a donut, but we're just, again, trying to make it watertight so we can go on and 3D print it. All right. So what I'm going to do is just going to save it right now. You can save it as an MA file or a MIO file, but I'm also going to go ahead and export it. Now, if you go to export it and you cannot find the OBJ, again, go to Windows, Setting, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and scan down here, and there's something called OBJ Export. Half the time these do not show up for some reason in our lab, but just go ahead and click on there so you can make sure you can kick it out. The UVs should already be set, so don't mess with those. If we go to Windows UV Editor, you can see it's a really weird matrix on our UV mapping, but that's okay. We also have this triangle. It's probably related to our bottom that we just extruded. All right, let's go ahead and kick this out. I'll go ahead and go Windows, Export Selection. I'm going to call it Donut, Donut2 _ 2. All right, so we're going to go ahead and export selection. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and open up ZBrush. Now ZBrush, it's good to have a tablet. I'm not going to make you guys buy it since we probably won't be using it that much, but you can kind of do everything with a mouse. It's a little bit difficult, but I can bring one for class. So my screen is small, so I have to stretch this out to get rid of this so I can hide this dialog box. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, hide that. All right, so what we're going to do is just, like I said, open up ZBrush. Go ahead and fit it to your space. We're going to go ahead and import our donut. Donut number 2, O2 _ 2. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring that donut in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. You can see it's quite crude. It's not a lot of geometry there, but it does have a pretty good feel of what the donut looks like. So one of the things we're going to do is we have it watertight on the bottom somewhat, and then what we're going to do is start working on these holes. So what we're going to do is go to our subtool, and I hit duplicate, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this one off. I think this one's off, so just make sure you have a duplicate of it. So we're going to go over here on our brushes, and we're going to go to our move tool, and it looks like a little drop of water. So click on that, and if you have a huge brush it's coming in like that, you want to really scale this down, the size of it. Okay, we'll go about to that size. And to move around in this environment, if you have a Wacom tablet, you probably know how to use it since you've probably taken character modeling, but you can move and we're going to scale. All right? Whatever you do, don't start on the surface there to move it. That will actually move the geometry, but we are interested in moving the geometry inward here. So we're basically trying to push this in. Okay, so we're going to zoom out. Okay, and what you want to do is just kind of push in all the holes that we have around here. All right, so we've got the two big main ones we had were on the bottom and on the top. We had those gigantic holes from the scan. All right, so just go ahead and kind of nudge these in. I'm not going to do all of this, but you'll get the idea. Okay, and basically what you're doing is just moving this down. The good thing about moving this down is it kind of gives you a nice arc to it, so it's not flat. So if we did this in Maya, it would be a very flat look to it. All right. All right, so you got the idea. So you only kind of need to do this all the way around. I'm not going to do all this right now because I'm limited time. All right, you got it. All right. So what we're going to do now is something called Dynamesh, and this will, again, make sure you have it duplicated. This is your duplicate one, not your master one. All right, so we're going to go down to Geometry, and something called Dynamesh right here. Just open that up, and just go ahead and set it at the wherever it's set is fine as the default setting. So we're going to go ahead and hit Dynamesh. And if you can see, it filled in the holes pretty well. And you can see on our bottom is filled and our top is filled, so we have no more holes. The last part I want you guys to do, this is all I want you to do today, is get it cleaned up where the holes. The worst part of this is the textures. The textures came out horrible, especially for this donut, and this is probably for about 50% of you have shiny textures. So we're going to go ahead and go in textures. If we're going to go ahead and import that lovely texture, hit open. And I'm going to go to texture, and I'm going to flip it. Again, this is the same thing. For some reason, Maya and even this optical printer, we need to flip the UV and go to this one, flip it. And now we're going to just go ahead and go down to texture, texture map. And we're going to go ahead to new texture. Basically, we need to tell it to be a texture. And we're going to select our texture. Hit texture map it a little up. Polypane. See, okay. Clone. Texture on. Apply UV mapping. Okay, so let's do that one more time. For some reason that's not coming on. Okay, so it's telling us apply UV mapping. So I've got to stop this now, but if you guys can get it to this point, we'll export this out as OBJ, and I'd rather you guys get this into OBJ or STL file so we can go ahead and 3D print this. Don't worry about the texture because the texture came out horrible, but let's go ahead and export it out. So let me show you how to do that. So just hit export. Just go to desktop and we'll call it donut 3 or 4 or final. And then you have OBJ, hit save. All right, and we'll walk this over to our library and print it out. So this is what I want you guys to do is print it out, scale it however you want. When you go over to the library, tell how large you want it, but also do a screenshot of this to show that you've cleaned it up with the holes. All right, good luck.